Have you ever wished you could fall asleep wrapped in the voice of God's love? If so, you are in a safe place right now. Tonight, you don't have to try to fix anything. You don't have to solve every problem before you close your eyes. You don't have to be strong or impressive or perfectly put together. Tonight, you are invited to simply rest inside a gentle story. This is a quiet story about the life of Jesus, told slowly, like soft waves touching the shore. There will be no drama you have to keep up with, no loud moments, no sudden shocks. Just a calm journey through scenes of light, of sand and water, of olive trees and evening skies, of a man who walked those dusty roads with kindness in his eyes. You are not here to work harder at sleeping. You are here to be held. As you listen, let the words become like a warm blanket, tucking you in, smoothing the creases of the day. Let every sentence be a hand that gently takes away one small weight from your shoulders. Let every pause be a doorway into deeper peace. Tonight, you will rest in the story of Jesus, his birth, his quiet steps along the shore of Galilee, his healing hands, his gentle voice calling the tired and the restless to come closer and breathe again. In this story, there is room for your own tired heart to lie down and be still. Before we drift deeper into tonight's gentle journey, remember to subscribe to Sleep with God's Word. Here, you'll always find peaceful stories that soothe the heart and quiet the mind. Where are you listening from tonight? Leave a comment. Your presence adds warmth to this quiet corner of the night. Somewhere in the world, right now, someone is lying awake just like you, phone or tablet resting beside their pillow, searching for something soft enough to lean on. You may be in a busy city apartment, with a faint hum of traffic outside your window. You may be in a quiet house on the edge of town, where the night is still and the crickets sing their simple songs. You might be listening from a hospital room, a guest room, or a childhood bedroom that holds old memories like folded letters in a drawer. Wherever you are, this story is a small light, lit just for you. Take a moment to notice the space around you, the gentle glow of the bedside lamp, or the familiar darkness of a room you know so well, the shape of your pillow beneath your head, the feeling of the sheet or blanket against your skin. Even if today has felt scattered, this moment can be whole. If it feels right, allow your eyes to soften or close completely. Take a slow, deep breath in through your nose and let it go out through your mouth. You don't have to force your breath to be perfect. Just let it be a little slower, a little kinder than it was a moment ago. With every breath, imagine the worries of the day loosening, like knots in a rope that has been pulled too tight. Thoughts about tomorrow might still wander through your mind, and that's all right. You don't need to chase them away. You can simply let them float by, like clouds crossing a wide, quiet sky. In this gentle space between waking and sleep, imagine that the presence of Jesus is nearer than your own heartbeat. Not as a distant figure in a painting, not as an idea you have to work hard to believe in, but as a quiet, steady nearness. Like someone sitting beside your bed, not speaking loudly, not asking anything of you, just being there. Just keeping watch while you rest. Tonight, you are not listening to a speech. You are not being tested. You are being accompanied. If you have felt alone in your thoughts, if your mind has been crowded with worries that no one seems to understand, let this be the moment when you do not have to carry them by yourself. For the next little while, you can set them down beside the bed, as if you were taking off a heavy coat at the end of a long day. Picture yourself placing those burdens gently at the feet of Jesus. You don't have to find the perfect words for a prayer. You don't have to explain everything. Just a simple, quiet thought is enough. Lord, I am tired. Stay with me tonight. And in the stillness that follows, imagine his answer is not complicated or distant, but soft and near. I am here. As this story begins, let it whisper to a deep place inside you. You are seen, you are known, and you are safe for the night. We will walk slowly now into the first scene, but we will not rush. There is no hurry. This is not a story you have to finish. It is a story you are allowed to fall asleep in whenever your body is ready. For now, simply rest in this opening truth. You do not have to hold the world together. The one who holds the stars in the sky can hold your life too. And as you breathe in and out, you may begin to notice that the night around you feels just a little softer than before. If you notice any tension still hiding in your jaw, your neck, or your shoulders, imagine a soft hand gently smoothing it away. You are allowed to be human here, unfinished and in process. You are allowed to be quiet. You are allowed to rest. Let this first part of the journey be nothing more than a doorway, opening slowly into a night held entirely in the kindness of God. You are welcome to stay as long. Outside your window tonight, the world may still be moving. Somewhere, a car passes by with its headlights sliding gently across the wall. Somewhere, a train sighs along its tracks. Somewhere, a distant dog barks once and then grows quiet again. But inside this small space where you lie, everything is invited to slow down. Picture your room the way it looks right now, just as it is, but bathed in a softer kind of light. Maybe a warm lamp, dimmed lower than usual. Maybe only the bluish glow of a screen that you know you will set aside soon. Maybe the shadows are familiar shapes, a chair, a shelf, a curtain that stirs slightly when a whisper of air moves through. You are here, in this room, in this body that has carried you through the day. Your muscles have done their work. Your mind has done its thinking, its planning, its worrying. And now, like a child returning home after a long journey, you are allowed to arrive. Take a slow breath in, and as you breathe out, imagine that every sound you hear is being wrapped in a layer of peace. The hum of a fan, the ticking of a clock, even the faint noise from other rooms. All of it softens like footsteps on thick moss. Nothing is demanding your attention. Nothing is urgent. There is only this gentle moment, stretching out in front of you like a quiet path at twilight. In this peaceful room, something begins to shift. Not in the furniture, not in the walls, but in the way you feel inside your own chest. Imagine, just for tonight, that the very air around you is touched by the presence of Jesus. Not in a way that overwhelms, but in a way that comforts, like a familiar hand resting lightly over yours. His presence is not loud. It doesn't flash or insist. It feels more like a soft warmth spreading across your blanket, as if the bed itself has remembered how to hold you. You might picture him sitting near the foot of your bed, or standing quietly in the room, or simply close, like a steady light behind your closed eyes. However you imagine him, know that you are free to let the image be simple and kind. Now, as your breathing finds a slow, unhurried rhythm, let this room begin to open in your imagination into another place and another time. It starts with a single point of light. Somewhere above you, as if the ceiling has turned into the night sky, a star appears. Not a sharp, cold star, but a gentle one, with edges that blur into the dark, the way candlelight does when your eyes are half closed. Around it, other stars begin to shimmer, quiet and patient. The night over your bed stretches out into a vast, deep blue, the kind of blue that seems to hold every secret and every sigh. You are still lying where you are. Your body has not moved. And yet, in your mind's eye, you are now also standing on a small hill just outside a little town in ancient Judea. The air is cool and clear. The ground beneath your feet is dry and firm. In the distance, scattered lamps glow in simple homes made of stone and clay, clustered like resting birds upon the hillsides. This is Bethlehem on a night long ago, and the sky is watching. You see a narrow path winding between low stone walls. Olive trees lean toward one another, their leaves whispering softly when the breeze brushes past. A few sheep are lying down in a small enclosure, their bodies huddled close, their breathing slow and steady. Not far away, a group of shepherds sit near a fading fire, their cloaks wrapped snugly around their shoulders. It has been a long day for them too, and now they are resting under the same wide sky that stretches quietly above your own roof tonight. Over everything, that star shines, a little brighter than the rest, but not harsh, not demanding, just quietly sure of itself, like a promise that has finally arrived after a long wait. As you watch this scene, notice how still it feels. There are no loud voices, no rushing footsteps, no clamor of crowds, only the simple, ancient rhythm of a world at night. The crackle of cooling embers, the murmur of someone shifting in their sleep, the soft rustle of wool against wool as a lamb moves closer to its mother. In this scene, you are both a watcher and a guest. You may choose to picture yourself standing beside the shepherds, feeling the rough texture of your sandals against the ground, the gentle weight of a cloak over your shoulders. Or you might simply remain where you are, floating like a quiet thought just above it all, watching the story unfold from the safest possible distance. There is no right way to imagine it. There's only the invitation to let the image be gentle enough to calm you. Now, imagine that the same peace filling this hillside begins to spill into your own room. The cool night air of Bethlehem blends with the air you are breathing now. The steady breaths of resting sheep echo the rising and falling of your chest. The starlight that glows over that little town seems to shine softly into your thoughts, dimming the glare of today's unfinished tasks. If you notice your mind wandering, perhaps back to something left undone, or a conversation that still tugs at you, that is all right. Minds wander. That is what they do. When you realize it, you don't have to be frustrated. Just gently walk your thoughts back to this quiet hill, to the olive trees and the sleeping sheep and the single star that is watching over them and over you. Here, in this mingling of your room and that ancient night, you are surrounded by a kind of quiet that does not feel empty. It feels full of expectation, full of softness, full of the sense that something good and tender is drawing near. Without needing to see it clearly yet, you can rest in this simple knowing. On nights like this, long ago, the world was waiting, and God was already on his way. The star over Bethlehem seems to breathe with the night, brightening a little, then softening again, as if it too is taking slow, steady breaths. Under its watchful glow, the town is quiet, pressed into the hillside like a child leaning against a parent's side. Follow the line of the star's light down along the sloping roofs and narrow paths to a simple place hidden at the edge of the village. It is not a grand house, not a palace or a temple. It is a shelter meant for animals, a resting place where hay is stored and where the warmth of living creatures keeps the cold away. The ground here is packed earth, scattered with straw. Wooden beams cross overhead, their rough surfaces holding the memory of many seasons. In one corner, a small oil lamp flickers, painting gentle shadows on the walls. The flame is modest, but it is doing its quiet work, pushing back the darkness just enough for love to be seen. In this humble space, a young woman rests on a bed of folded cloths and straw, her face still flushed from the effort of birth. Her name is Mary. Her hands are small, and they tremble a little as she adjusts the cloth wrapped around a tiny child resting near her heart. Beside her, Joseph keeps watch, his eyes soft with both concern and wonder. They are tired, too. Their journey to this town has been long and uncertain. There was no room for them in the places where people usually find comfort. And yet, here, where no one expected anything sacred to unfold, the quiet miracle has already begun. You don't need to imagine every detail. Just choose one small thing to rest your thoughts on, the way you might rest your gaze on a single candle in a dark room. Maybe it is the curve of the child's tiny hand, curling around one of Mary's fingers. Maybe it is the steady, almost silent rise and fall of his chest as he sleeps. Maybe it is the way Joseph's shoulders seem to lower, just a little, as he realizes that in this simple shelter, his family is truly held. Outside, the night goes on. The shepherds you saw on the hillside earlier have begun to stir. In the story, as it is often told, they are greeted by a sudden burst of heavenly light and a choir of angels. But for tonight, you may choose to imagine that the message comes to them in a quieter way. Perhaps one of them feels a nudge in his heart, a sense that he should follow the star more closely. Perhaps the breeze carries a feeling, like a whispered invitation. They look up, see the brightness above the town, and silently, without hurry or panic, they begin to walk. You can walk with them if you like. Feel the firmness of the path beneath your feet. Hear the soft scuff of sandals on earth. Notice how the air cools slightly as you leave the fading warmth of the fire behind. The town grows nearer with each unhurried step, but there is no rush. The child they are going to see is not in danger of disappearing. He is simply there, waiting, like peace itself, not demanding, only available. When the shepherds reach the shelter, they pause at the entrance. The light from the small lamp spills out in a narrow band across the ground, touching their feet like a welcome. One by one, they step inside, heads bowed, hearts strangely calm. It is not a grand scene. There are no trumpets, no thrones, no splendid garments. Just a young mother, a watchful father, and a newborn child who seems in this moment to sleep as deeply and trustingly as any baby ever has. If your mind begins to wander again, perhaps to an old memory, perhaps to something that still hurts, let it wander for a moment, and then gently lead it back here, to this small circle of lamplight and straw. Here, the only task is to look, to listen to the quiet, and to let your heart soften. Watch as one of the shepherds kneels, his rough hands resting on his knees. He has lived many nights under open skies. He has known cold winds and long hours and the steady weight of responsibility for his flock. He is not a famous man. he is not powerful, but in this gentle circle of light, he is seen. So are you. As he looks at the child, something in his face changes, not into excitement exactly, but into a deep, deep stillness. It is the kind of stillness that comes when a person recognizes, perhaps for the first time, that they are not alone in their watchfulness, that someone greater, kinder, and more faithful has been watching with them all along. Let that truth wash slowly over you. For all the nights you have stayed awake, worrying about people you love, plans you must carry, responsibilities that rest on your shoulders. For all the evenings when the bed felt like a place of struggle rather than rest, remember this: you have never been the only one awake. The one who lay once as a child in that manger is the same one who neither slumbers nor sleeps, keeping watch over your life with a love that does not get tired. In the shelter, the lamp burns a little lower. Mary adjusts the cloth around her baby, then leans her head back, her eyes growing heavy. Joseph shifts to sit beside her, his back against the rough wall, his hand resting near hers. The shepherds remain for a while, then quietly step outside again, leaving them to their rest. Step outside with them. The air feels fresh against your face. The night is still deep, but it is no longer an empty darkness. It is full of quiet knowing. The star still shines overhead, and now, as you lift your eyes to it, you may imagine that its light stretches gently all the way to the place where you are lying now. Take another slow breath in and out. You do not have to hold on to every word of this story. It is enough to let a few images settle in your heart. The soft glow of an oil lamp, the steady breathing of a sleeping child, the way a weary shepherd's shoulders relax when he realizes he is finally, truly not alone. These are small things, but sometimes it is the smallest lights that guide us safely through the darkest nights. Morning has a way of arriving even after the longest nights. In your own life, there have been mornings when you felt barely ready to face the light. Perhaps you know the feeling of opening your eyes and remembering all at once everything that still seems unfinished or uncertain. Yet somehow, the sun still rises, the world still turns, grace still reaches you, even before your first clear thought. Now, in the story we are resting in tonight, the night over Bethlehem slowly gives way to dawn. The star that shone so brightly begins to pale as soft bands of color stretch across the sky. Pale gold, gentle pink, a blue that is more like a promise than a color. The town stirs. Somewhere a rooster calls. Somewhere water is drawn from a well. Somewhere a child yawns and sits up on a simple mat, rubbing sleep from their eyes. Inside the shelter, Mary awakens to the faint light slipping through the cracks. The child in her arms stirs too, his tiny face relaxing into a peaceful expression that seems in some mysterious way both ordinary and holy. Joseph rises to tend to practical tasks, his movements quiet, careful not to break the cocoon of calm that has settled over this small family. Time, as it always does, moves on. We do not need to follow every step of Jesus' childhood. The years turn like pages turning in a book that lies open in God's hands. We can imagine simple scenes: a boy running along dusty paths, laughter echoing between houses, small feet splashing in the shallow edge of a stream, hands learning the feel of wood, the weight of tools, the shapes of things being made and mended. What matters for your heart tonight is not the exact sequence of events, but the gentle truth that God chose to step into ordinary days. that the one who holds galaxies once stood in the doorway of a small home and watched the evening settle over rooftops and fields, just as you sometimes stand at a window and watch the light fade beyond your own street. Let your mind drift now to another scene, years later, beside a stretch of water that has seen many mornings and many nights. This is the Sea of Galilee. If you like, you can picture yourself standing on its shore in the early light. The surface of the water is smooth, stirred only by the slightest ripple as a breeze passes by. The sky above it is wide and open, the kind of sky that makes your chest feel spacious, as if it has more room for air, more room for hope. The sand beneath your feet is cool. Small waves move in and out, like the slow rhythm of breathing. Pebbles glisten where the water touches them and then retreats. The sounds here are gentle. Gulls calling lazily overhead, the creak of wooden boats tethered nearby, the soft murmur of fishermen speaking in low voices as they tend to their nets. Among them walks a man whose presence seems to gather the morning around him in a special way. His steps are unhurried. When he speaks, there is nothing harsh in his tone. Some of the men stop what they are doing and look up, drawn by something they cannot yet name. This is Jesus grown, no longer the sleeping infant in the manger, but the same holy life, now moving with steady purpose along the shore. He pauses near one of the boats, looks at the men working there, and says simply, "Follow me." There is no pressure in his voice, no urgency that feels like fear. There is only invitation, an opening, a doorway from one kind of life into another. You may imagine watching as the men glance at one another, then at their nets, then back at him. In the stories you have heard, they leave their work and go with him. For tonight, you can linger in the feeling of that moment just before they decide. The moment when time seems to hold its breath and the future is still soft and full of possible paths. You know such moments from your own life too. Quiet inner nudges, a sense that love is asking you to trust, to loosen your grip, to walk in a gentler direction. Not with panic, but with a steady, soft yes. As Jesus' journey continues, he walks through villages where the air is full of everyday sounds, the grind of grain being milled, the chatter of people in marketplaces, the laughter of children weaving between stalls. Yet, wherever he goes, something changes in the atmosphere, the way the feeling of a room changes when someone kind walks in and sits down without hurry. Sometimes he teaches, his words settling over the crowd like a light rain that soaks slowly into dry ground. Sometimes he simply looks at a person in front of him, as if they are the only one there, truly seen, truly understood. Sometimes, with a touch or a quiet word, he heals. One day, in a crowd that presses close around him, there is a woman whose heart has carried the weight of suffering for many years. She has been to many places for help, and each time she has come away with disappointment added to her pain. The world has grown smaller and smaller around her. Hope has become something delicate and distant, like a star hidden behind clouds. But on this day, as Jesus passes by, something in her stirs. She thinks, if I can just touch his cloak, I will be healed. For tonight, you do not need to picture the crowd in detail. You can simply imagine her as a single, tired figure, reaching out with the last little bit of courage she has left. Her fingers brush the edge of his garment. It is the lightest of touches, the kind that could easily go unnoticed. Yet Jesus stops. He turns, searching the faces around him, and when his eyes find her, there is no anger there, No impatience at being interrupted, only a deep, gentle knowing. "Daughter," he says, and the word itself is like a hand laid carefully over a wound. "Your faith has healed you. Go in peace." Let those words echo softly in your own heart. Daughter, son, beloved one, your reaching out is seen. Your quiet hope is not too small. Go in peace. It might be that tonight you do not feel strong in faith. You may feel more like you are simply drifting or clinging or just barely hanging on. That is all right. Notice that the woman's miracle did not come from loud, perfect confidence. It came from a trembling, exhausted, almost fragile kind of trust. A simple desire to be close to Him. If all you can manage tonight is the quiet thought, "Lord, please be near," that is enough. You too are allowed to rest in the sound of His voice calling you child and sending you not into more striving, but into peace. As this part of the story settles, let your breathing follow the rhythm of the sea. In and out, like small waves touching the shore and returning to the deep. You are standing by calm water. You are in the presence of a calm Savior. Little by little, without forcing anything, your own heart can begin to mirror that calm. And if your eyes grow heavy, or your thoughts become fuzzy around the edges, that is all right. You do not have to stay completely alert for this story to do its quiet work. You are allowed to drift, to float, to be carried. The journey will continue, but you are already beginning to rest. The shoreline of Galilee fades gently in your mind, as if the scene is wrapped in a thin mist of morning light. Yet one thing remains clear: the feeling of being near Jesus as He walks, unhurried, along the water's edge. That feeling stays with you like a quiet note held at the end of a song. Now imagine the day passing. The sun rises higher, crosses the sky, and then begins its slow, graceful descent. Shadows lengthen across the hills. The heat softens into a pleasant warmth. People finish their daily tasks. Tools are put away, doors are closed, fires are kindled for evening meals. Somewhere, bread is baking. Somewhere else, olive oil glows in small clay lamps as their flames come to life one by one. You find yourself, in your imagination, on another hillside with Jesus. This one overlooks the same familiar sea, but now the water glows with the colors of late afternoon. The sky is painted in gentle tones, soft gold near the horizon, fading into deeper blue above. The air is cooler here, and you can feel a faint breeze brushing your face, playing lightly with your hair or the edges of your clothing. A crowd has gathered, some sitting on smooth stones, others on the grass. They are people of many stories: parents, children, elders, those who have known loss, those who carry invisible burdens, those who simply feel a restlessness they cannot quite name. They are, in many ways, like you and the people you know. Jesus sits down, and the crowd grows quiet. He begins to speak, and his words move slowly through the air like ripples on a still pond. Tonight, you do not have to remember every sentence. You do not have to memorize, analyze, or keep up. You are free to simply catch the phrases that feel like they were meant especially for you. You hear him say, "Blessed are the poor in spirit. Blessed are those who mourn. Blessed are the meek." Each blessed feels like a soft hand placed upon a bowed head. For those who feel empty and worn out, he speaks blessing. For those who grieve quietly, he speaks blessing. For those who are gentle in a world that often rewards harshness, he speaks blessing. and in that blessing, the upside-down kingdom of God unfolds, a place where the tired, the overlooked, the soft-hearted are not forgotten, but cherished. Let those words sink into you. If there's a place inside that feels poor in spirit tonight, drained, uncertain, fragile, hear his gentle voice calling that place blessed. If there is grief that you have carried alone, tears that have fallen in the dark where no one else could see, hear his voice calling even your mourning a location where comfort is drawing near. The sermon continues, but we move with him to another part of his teaching, one that seems especially tender for a heart lying awake at night. He looks at the faces before him, the furrows of worry on some brows, the tension in shoulders that have learned to carry more than they were meant to. And he says, "Do not worry about your life." He speaks of birds that neither sow nor reap, yet are fed. He describes lilies of the field, clothed in beauty they did not work to obtain. He invites his listeners to see, really see, the world around them as a living reminder that they, too, are held. In your imagination, you glance up and notice a small bird gliding effortlessly across the sky, its wings outstretched, carried by currents of air you cannot see. You picture wildflowers growing along the hillside, their petals opening to the light without strain or effort, simply being what they were created to be. Look at the birds, he says. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? You feel those words like a warm weight settling gently over your racing thoughts. Tonight, there are things you cannot fix before you sleep. There are situations you cannot fully control. There are unknowns that no amount of thinking will resolve. Worry may try to convince you that staying alert, staying tense, staying ready is the only way to stay safe. But Jesus points to birds and flowers and invites you to consider another way. If the God who painted color onto petals and wrote flight into wings is also watching over you, maybe for this one night, you are allowed to let your mind step back from the endless task of guarding every outcome. Maybe you can trust that being loved is not something you have to earn by staying awake. Do not be afraid, little flock, he says in another moment, with a voice that seems to carry directly to the softest, most childlike part of you. For your Father has been pleased to give you the kingdom. Little flock, not an army, not a team of experts, a small group of sheep, easily startled, needing guidance, easily lost, easily tired, deeply loved. Tonight, if you feel like part of that little flock, it is not a failing, it is a truth. You were never meant to be your own shepherd. Imagine, now, the hillside as the light begins to fade. Some in the crowd stand and stretch, talking quietly among themselves as they make their way back down the path toward home. Others linger a while longer, sitting in the soft grass, letting the words settle inside them. You are one of those who linger. You sit with your knees drawn up, arms resting lightly around them, and you watch Jesus as he rises, as he moves among the people with the same calm, steady presence. For a brief, quiet moment, his gaze passes over where you are. And though this is a story in your imagination, it carries the echo of something real. The sense that at some point in your journey, his eyes have found you and known you completely. He does not rush you to change. He does not criticize you for worrying. He simply stands before you as the embodiment of a different way to be. A way marked by trust, gentleness, and restful dependence on the Father's care. As the scene softens and dissolves, return gently to the awareness of your own body lying where it is now. Feel the surface beneath you, supporting your weight without complaint. Notice the way the mattress or mat meets the curve of your back, your hips, your shoulders. Let your jaw relax just a bit more, your tongue resting loosely, your forehead smoothing out. Your breath, once again, moves in and out, like those small waves on the shore. You have listened to words meant first for a crowd long ago, but echoing now for you. Do not worry about your life. Consider the birds. Do not be afraid, little flock. Let one of those phrases become like a lullaby line for your thoughts. You can repeat it silently with each breath, not as a command to yourself, but as a reassurance offered by someone who actually can watch over your life while you sleep. Inhale. Do not be afraid. Exhale. Little flock. Or inhale. Come to me. Exhale, and I will give you rest. You do not have to get it perfectly right. Even if your mind drifts away, the meaning remains like a soft light shining in another room of your heart. It is there, whether you are thinking about it consciously or not. And if you have ever wondered whether heaven notices your small daily struggles, the tired mornings, the heavy evenings, the way your mind circles the same worries again and again, remember the hillside, the birds, the flowers, the gentle tone in his voice. None of that was rushed. None of that was harsh. It was always an invitation to learn how to rest. Let tonight be one small step into that rest. You are not being asked to change everything. You are only being asked to lie here, to breathe, and to allow the possibility that you are more cared for than you have ever fully realized. Evening settles gently over the hills, the way a soft shawl is drawn over weary shoulders. In your own room, the night might already be deep, or perhaps a faint glow still lingers at the edges of the curtains. Wherever you are on the clock of your day, let this part of the story meet you like twilight, a time when colors grow softer, sounds grow rounder, and the heart becomes a little more honest with itself. In the lands where Jesus walked, evenings often came with a familiar sight. Small flocks of sheep being gathered in, guided along worn paths by patient shepherds. Hooves tapped softly on the earth. Wooden staffs clicked against stones. Dust rose in gentle swirls and then settled again in the cooling air. Imagine such a scene now. You see a narrow path traced along the side of a hill. The light is low, casting long, peaceful shadows. A flock of sheep moves together, some close to the front, some straggling a bit behind, their wool catching the last hints of day like small clouds drifted down to earth. Ahead of them walks a shepherd. His figure is steady and familiar. He knows this path. He knows every stone that might trip a careless foot, every curve in the trail where it is safer to slow down. He carries a staff, not as a weapon to strike, but as an extension of his care, a way to guide, to nudge, to protect. From where you stand, at a little distance, you can hear the soft murmur of his voice. He does not shout. He calls in tones the sheep have heard since they were very young. There's a particular rhythm to his words, a cadence to his song that tells them everything they need to know. I am here. Follow me. You are safe. In the Gospel of John, Jesus speaks of himself as this kind of shepherd. I am the good shepherd, he says. I know my sheep and my sheep know me. Tonight, you do not need to work hard to understand every layer of that image. You can simply let it wash over you. The idea that there is someone who walks ahead of you, who knows you by name, who has learned the sound of your fears and still calls to you with unwavering tenderness. Picture yourself, if you like, as one of the sheep in that little flock. Maybe you are near the front, eager and curious, always trying to see what is ahead. Maybe you are nearer the back, moving slower, tired from the day's journey. Maybe you find yourself wandering a bit to the side, distracted by this and that, not always sure where the rest have gone. Wherever you place yourself, notice this. The shepherd's attention never leaves you. If you lag behind, he waits. If you drift to the edge of the path, he steps closer and gently guides you back with the curve of his staff or the sound of his voice. If you press forward anxiously, trying to outrun your own worries, he moves ahead of you, setting a pace that honors both your desire to move and your need to rest. He does not drive you with fear. He leads you with love. In another place, Jesus says that the sheep listen to the voice of their shepherd, that they know it so well they will not follow the voice of a stranger. Let that idea bring a soft comfort to your mind tonight. There are many voices that speak to you in the course of a day. Some are kind, some are harsh, some are your own thoughts rehearsing fears or regrets. Some come from memories long past or from expectations that never really belonged to you. It can be hard to know which ones to trust. But the voice of the shepherd is different. It does not accuse. It does not belittle. It does not drive you into exhaustion. It may challenge you at times, but it always does so with a hand extended to help, not a finger pointed in condemnation. If you listen, even now beneath your usual inner noise, you may notice a kind of quiet invitation, something that says, "Come, rest. You don't have to walk alone in the dark. I am here. I always have been." The flock reaches a small enclosure, a stone-walled fold with a single opening. One by one, the sheep pass through, the shepherd watching them as they go. He knows them well enough to notice if even one is missing. He counts them, not as numbers on a list, but as beloved creatures whose lives are his responsibility. When the last one has entered, he steps into the opening himself, becoming, with his own body, like a living gate. Anything that would harm the flock must pass by him first. Anything that might cause them to scatter must reckon with his unwavering presence. Inside the fold, the sheep begin to settle. They find soft patches of ground. They lower themselves, bodies folding gently, legs tucking under them. A few nuzzle one another, finding comfort in the closeness of the group. Slowly, their breathing deepens. One by one, their eyes close. The sky above darkens fully now, and the first stars appear. The world is quieter here than it has been all day. It is not that all danger has ceased to exist. It is that, for this night, the sheep are resting in the simple, solid truth that their shepherd is near. You too have a fold to rest in tonight. It may not feel like it when your mind is busy, when worries are loud, when old memories resurface at the edge of sleep. But the same Jesus who spoke of himself as the Good Shepherd is present, even now, in the small, ordinary room where you lie. You are not one more nameless person in a crowd of billions to him. You are known, counted, cherished. If it helps, imagine that the edges of your bed are like the low walls of a safe enclosure. On the outside of those walls are deadlines, tasks, complicated relationships, questions without clear answers. They are real, and they matter. But for tonight, they remain outside. They do not climb into the bed with you. They do not curl up on your pillow. They will wait. Within this fold of your blankets and pillows, there is only you and the gentle presence of God. You might whisper, if you wish, a short, simple prayer. Lord, be my shepherd tonight. You don't need to say more. The rest can be carried by your breathing, by the slow releasing of tension in your muscles, by the willingness to let yourself be held. If at any point your thoughts begin to race again, if a sudden worry pops up, or a memory flashes through your mind, don't scold yourself. Don't decide that you have failed at resting. You are a sheep, not a machine. You can notice the wandering, and then, with kindness toward yourself, return once more to the image of the shepherd standing guard in the doorway of your night. His watchfulness does not depend on your perfection. As your body grows heavier against the bed, as your arms and legs begin to feel pleasantly warm and relaxed, let this part of the story leave a gentle imprint on you. You are not responsible for staying awake to protect your own soul. There is a shepherd who does not sleep. There is a love that does not take its eyes off you. Your only task now is to lie here, to breathe, and to let that love be enough. The image of the shepherd standing at the gate of the fold lingers gently in your thoughts, like a lantern left glowing in the corner of a room. Even if the picture becomes hazy around the edges, the feeling remains. Watched over, looked after, not forgotten. Now, let the night in your imagination grow a little deeper. The hills fade, the sheep rest, the stars continue their silent watch, and slowly, almost imperceptibly, the scene softens into something new. You find yourself walking along a narrow path at the edge of a quiet garden. The air is cool and carries the faint scent of earth and leaves and distant water. Olive trees stand like old, patient guardians, their trunks twisted with age, their branches reaching out in shapes that look, in the dim light, almost like arms extended in prayer. The ground is uneven beneath your feet, scattered with small stones and fallen leaves that crunch softly when you step on them. This is a place Jesus knew well, a garden where he often went to pray. Tonight, you are not here to watch a scene of agony or distress. That part of his story is real and holy, but for the sake of rest, we will look instead at the quieter truth beneath it. Even when the weight upon him was great, he chose to bring that weight, not into endless, restless thoughts, but into conversation with his Father. In your mind's eye, you see him there, a little distance away, kneeling among the trees. His posture is not theatrical. It is simple, honest. His hands may be open, palms facing upward, as if offering his fears, his questions, his sorrows to the one who understands them completely. His head is bowed, not in defeat, but in trust. The night around him is not empty of God. It is full of presence. You do not need to hear every word he says. You know enough to understand that he is bringing his heart as it is. No hiding, no pretending, no polished, perfect phrases. And in that, there's a quiet kind of invitation for you as well. When you lie awake with your own fears, your own what-ifs, your own heaviness that you cannot fully explain to anyone else, you are walking, in your own way, through a kind of garden. It may not have olive trees. It may have the glow of a digital clock, the outline of a ceiling fan, the shapes of familiar furniture in the half-dark. But spiritually, it is a place where you are not alone with your thoughts. It is a place where Jesus is already praying. You might imagine him turning his head slightly, noticing you there. His gaze is not surprised or disapproving. He is not annoyed that you have shown up in this vulnerable moment. Instead, there is a deep gentleness in his eyes, as if he has been expecting you, as if he knew that tonight would be one of those nights when your heart would wander into this quiet place, looking for somewhere to set down its burdens. Come, his presence seems to say, even if no words are spoken aloud. Bring what you are carrying. If it feels comfortable, you might list your worries silently, one by one, not to rehearse them, but to hand them over. Names of people you love, situations that feel unresolved, fears about the future, regrets about the past, the ache of time passing too quickly, or not quickly enough. All of these can be offered, like stones you have carried in your pockets for so long you almost forgot they were there. In the dim, peaceful light of this imagined garden, you take each stone and place it gently at his feet. With every one, you breathe out, inhale, and gather it into your awareness. Exhale, and set it down. You don't have to be certain what he will do with them. You only need to trust that your heart is safer in his hands than in the closed loop of its own anxious thoughts. As you do this, something small but sacred begins to happen inside you. You realize that you are not the only one awake in your night. You are not the only one who has ever wrestled with unspoken worries in the dark. Long before you, Jesus knelt beneath trees like these, under a sky like this, and poured out his own heavy heart to the Father. The distance between his story and yours grows smaller, not because your burdens are the same as his, but because the God who listened then is the same God who listens now. You are part of a long, unbroken line of souls who have whispered their fears into the night and found, to their quiet relief, that someone was there to hear. When was the last time you felt a moment of true peace, you might ask yourself, following the gentle prompt in your heart? The kind that feels like a soft light glowing inside. Perhaps it was a walk at sunset, a conversation with a trusted friend, a moment of stillness in a busy day, a memory from childhood, a warm kitchen, the smell of something cooking, the sense of being loved without having to earn it. As you remember that moment, imagine Jesus standing just behind it, like the source of the light that made it so gentle and so real. Tonight's story is not here to erase your struggles or rewrite your past. It is here to whisper a soft discovery that through every season of your life, in joy and in exhaustion, in clarity and in confusion, there has always been a thread of presence weaving quietly through your days. Sometimes that presence felt obvious. A prayer answered, a door opened, a comfort that came exactly when you needed it. Sometimes it felt hidden, a strength you didn't know you had, a sense of being upheld when you weren't sure how you were still standing. Either way, the same heart that prayed in the garden, "Not my will, but yours," has been near to yours. In the garden, Jesus rises slowly from prayer. There is still much ahead of him in the story, but here, in this peaceful version of the scene, we focus on one simple truth. He did not carry the weight of his calling alone. He brought it again and again into relationship with his Father. And he walks with you now, so that you will never have to carry your weight alone either. As he turns toward the path out of the garden, you may imagine him pausing for a moment beside you. Perhaps he places a hand gently over your heart, not pressing, not demanding, just resting there with a warmth that seems to seep beyond the surface, reaching into tired places in your soul. Perhaps he speaks one soft line, words you have heard before, but tonight they land differently. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Not I might, not I'll think about it, not if you get everything right. Simply, I will. You don't have to decide in this moment exactly how that rest will come. You don't have to understand how grace works while you are half asleep. You only have to allow the possibility that, as you lie here, eyes heavy or fluttering, breathing slow and gentle, something in you is being quietly held and renewed. Slowly, the garden scene begins to fade. The olive trees blend back into the shapes of your own room, the outline of your wardrobe, the curve of your bedside table, the shadows on your ceiling. The cool night air of that ancient place merges with the air around you right now. You are back where you started, in your own bed, in your own time. But you are not exactly the same as when you first lay down. Some of the stones you carried feel lighter, as if they have been set aside, or at least shared. The shepherd, the healer, the one who prays, has drawn nearer in your awareness. And deep within, maybe in a place beyond words, a small, steady light glows where before there was only fatigue. If tonight's story has reminded you of a quiet moment or a beautiful memory, you may keep it close, like a smooth stone in your pocket or a folded note tucked into a favorite book. Later, if you wish, you might choose to share it, with God in a whispered prayer, or with others in a gentle comment or conversation. For now, it is enough that you have remembered that peace is not a stranger to you. It has been here before. It can return again. Here, no one rests alone. Every story like this is a small lantern in the dark, lit for anyone who needs to find their way to a gentler night. Tonight, that lantern is burning for you, and as you nestle more deeply into your pillow, feel once more the soft, invisible blanket of God's presence settling over you, over your mind, over your body, over the tangled threads of your day. You are not required to untangle them all before you sleep. You are only asked to rest in the hands of the one who can. There is a moment, sometime in the late hours of the night, when even the busiest places grow still. You are lying within that hush now. Your room, with all its familiar shapes and shadows, has become a small sanctuary. Not because it is perfect, not because it is specially decorated, but simply because God is here with you. The same presence that watched over Bethlehem, that walked along the waters of Galilee, that prayed beneath the branches of olive trees, is near to you in this ordinary, sacred night. Tonight's story has traced a gentle path. We have stood in the lamplight of a stable and watched a child sleep in Mary's arms. We have walked beside still water and heard a man call fishermen to follow him into a life marked not by fear, but by trust. We have watched a woman reach out with trembling fingers to touch the hem of his cloak and heard him send her away in peace. We have sat on a hillside under a sky touched by evening colors, listening to blessings spoken over the worried and the worn out. We have imagined ourselves as sheep in his care, and we have entered a quiet garden to lay down our hidden burdens before him. Through it all, a single thread has been woven. You are not alone, and you are deeply, gently loved. If your eyes are still open, you may let them drift closed now, knowing that you will not miss anything you are meant to receive. Stories like this do not work the way deadlines or alarms do. They do not punish you for falling asleep too soon. In fact, that is their purpose, to keep you company just long enough for your body and mind to feel safe enough to let go. Before sleep comes fully, we linger for a moment in a soft reflection. Think of the span of your life so far as a long road under many kinds of sky. There have been bright days and clouded days, quiet mornings and restless nights. There have been seasons when you felt close to God, and seasons when He seemed far away. And yet, you are here. You have made it to this night, to this bed, to this breath. Somewhere along the way, often in ways you did not see at the time, the gentle shepherd has been walking a step ahead of you, or right beside you, or quietly behind you, guarding your back. You may not understand all the twists and turns. You may not know why some prayers seem to be answered quickly, while others have lingered in silence. But as you look back from the vantage point of this pillow, you might notice small signs of care woven into the fabric of your days. A kind word when you most needed it, a door closing that later spared you pain, a strength that rose up in you when you felt empty, a peace that settled in a room where there had only been tension. These are not accidents. They are footprints of grace. As your breathing remains slow and comfortable, imagine that Jesus is sitting at the edge of your bed now, not far away in ancient scenes, but present in this very room. His hand rests lightly on the blanket near your feet, as if to say, "I am here, you can rest." He does not ask you to sort out tomorrow tonight. He does not demand that you be braver, stronger, wiser, or more organized before you are allowed to sleep. He simply offers you what He has always offered the weary, Himself. "Surely I am with you always," He once said, "to the very end of the age." Let that promise be the pillow beneath your thoughts. When you inhale, you might imagine drawing in a little more of His peace. When you exhale, you might picture letting go of one more thread of worry. You do not have to name each one. It is enough to know that He knows them already, more clearly than you do, and that He is not overwhelmed by them. If at any moment you wake again in the night, unsure what time it is or how long you have slept, remember that this same presence is still there, unchanged. You can return to any part of this story: the stable, the shore, the hillside, the fold, the garden, and find Him waiting for you, patient and kind. Before your mind slips fully into dreams, hear one more gentle invitation. If this quiet journey has brought you even a small measure of calm, you are welcome to carry that kindness forward. Not by forcing yourself to be endlessly positive, but by treating your own heart with the same tenderness you have glimpsed in Jesus tonight. Speak softly to yourself. Allow yourself to be a work in progress. Offer to others, when you can, the same steady presence you have received. For now, there is nothing more you must do. The shepherd is near. The world can turn without your help for a while. Your only task is to rest in the love that has been following you all the days of your life and will not leave you, even in your sleep. Let your thoughts grow lighter now, like leaves drifting slowly down onto still water. Let your body sink more deeply into the bed that holds it. Let the story fade into a gentle murmur at the edge of your awareness. Let your breathing stay slow and easy, like a tide that comes in softly and slips away again. You are safe. You are loved. You are not alone. Rest. Sleep. Be at peace.